So firstly, I just wanted to go around the rest of we've actually got 6 people in all that are supposed to be on top of this. So I will nudge them. I know some of them said it might be a challenge this week, but they want the recording for next week. So that's
my job.
Yes, that is your job. What we'll do is we'll get everybody just to do a kind of 30 to 60-second intro, just who you are, what you want to achieve from this course, very briefly. And I know you've got an arm's length list, but if we can keep it to seconds. And then in the chat, if every single one of you can, please drop your LinkedIn profiles as well. Eugene's joining us. There we go. So we'll I'm going to start with you, Ray, because I can.
Okay.
Quick intro, who you are, what you do, and what you're looking at getting out of the next 12 weeks.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Hi, it's Raymond. My name's Raymond. I'm a branding consultant. I design. I'm a bit of an hands-on artist. What do I want to get out of LinkedIn? Ongoing is basically what I'm looking at getting involved in again. It's always a kind of a challenge. If you've been on for a while and then you come off for a little bit, it's about getting back on the wagon and trying to start again and having the enthusiasm of people around you to encourage that. So that's what I'm here for. Excellent.
Thank you, Raymond. Mr. Chipchay, we'll go to Nick, and then we'll go to Joel, and then Eugene, and we'll finish off with Mr. Wilkie.
Okay, sure. Thank you, guys. I'm Brian. I'm a life insurance salesman, plain and simple. Okay, and I love it. Absolutely love what I do for a living. In fact, it's a pleasure. I love it. So, and I'm the best insurance guy salesman you'll ever get to meet in your life, and I actually do mean that, and I mean that without a brag. It's a genuine comment. And okay, so I was big on LinkedIn. April 2020 to about December 2020. 7 days a week. I had a following. I was loving it, and I was posting every day. Then sort of family distractions took me away. I'm now back in the groove. So I want to get back into the regime of posting. The market has moved on. How you do it has moved on, but I want to play a bigger game now. So that means becoming an influencer, a content maker. I want to build a brand for myself with intentions I've got going forward. So I'm podcasting, video casting, interviewing, newslettering. But I want to do it in a huge way. That's where I am now.
Awesome stuff. So watch the space. Brian has no excuse because he's done some incredible things on LinkedIn before, but he took his foot off the gas. Life happened, and now he's going to tear this thing apart. Tear it a new one.
So a brand new one, yeah.
Absolutely. Nick, over to you.
Okay, so I'm Nick. I work directly for a German company, but I'm based in the UK. The company is a manufacturer of vision inspection systems for the food, cosmetics, and primarily pharmaceutical markets. I've done the course. I joined the course on a recommendation, I might say. It comes highly recommended. Looking at his face, I'm not sure why, but there you go. I want to
love you too, Nick.
I want to increase the following for the company, so it's not so much about me, but it's about the company page, because apart from in sales, my managing director has seen it fit to make me head of marketing, and I know nothing about marketing, so here we are trying to learn, and LinkedIn seems to be the vehicle for me. I've been on it for a long time, but I've only kind of dabbled in it. And I really want to find out how to use it properly for the benefit of my company.
Awesome stuff. Who did I say was next? Joel.
1 second. Something that my computer wasn't working at that point. Oh God. Right, my name is Joel. Aside for the technical difficulties, and I've just started. I say just started up. Using that term loosely because I can't actually remember the date when I actually started. But I did start my own company, which focuses on helping neurodiversity in the world and focusing on removing the, for wanting a better phrase, bullshit surrounding it.
love it. Say it how it is. Good stuff. Eugene.
Who's muted? No, he's has to take.
No, he is muted.
Yeah, there we go.
And he works in a call center, so this is not a good sign.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name's Eugene. I've worked in the customer care industry for the last 20 years. I currently work with BP Pulse. I am in the complaints segment of BP Pulse at the moment. I have sort of moved through the ranks in terms of being in customer care as a team manager, and then moved on to complaints recently. The reason why I've decided to sort of engage in LinkedIn and learn more about LinkedIn is ultimately I'm looking to start my own business. I've come up with a concept that's within education piece within the customer care realm. So I've pretty much sort of applied all my knowledge, put it together, and looking to roll something out very soon, in fact. And yeah, I think Max kind of helped me understand that there's a massive opportunity to be able to launch off LinkedIn as my platform and really build that interest as I launch my product.
Excellent stuff. And we're looking forward to that, because that's going to make a potential global impact, which is exciting. Ryan, last but not least.
How's everyone? My name's Ryan. I just got out of school and I'm looking to kind of dabble with property. And I came across LinkedIn, and I've heard like many people have recommended it, and I thought I just want to learn how to use the app and get myself out there and learn from other people.
That's awesome stuff. And just to give you guys a little bit of background, Ryan's originally from South Africa. He's now in the UK. The man is a learning machine at the moment, because he's throwing himself into anything and everything he can to develop his own skills and get in front of people. And I really do implore you for taking the courage to get onto LinkedIn so early, because a lot of people wait until they've got, experience and everything else behind them. And, the best place to start is right in the beginning. And the beauty of this is you're going to get to learn with other people that have already got business experience. But also forge your own way ahead. So good luck with that. We know you've got a few introductions in the property sector already, and we've got a few more on their way as well. So the whole aim of what we're going to do today, in fact, I'm going to share some slides with you just so that we can keep on point. And we'll crack on through some content. And for those of you who have seen some of my programs before, I've changed it slightly, so much so that you'll be getting an updated workbook end of play tomorrow, because I've turned things up on their head a bit to make sure that my aim is to help you get results as quickly as possible through this course. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's theory, which is important to know, but there's also a lot of stuff that you really need to jump on fairly quickly, because they do hold people back. Now, I've seen a lot of people do amazing things on LinkedIn and not realize that it looks amazing to them, but the rest of the world can't see it because of basic little things like settings. So I'm going to walk you through some of those today, because about 1.5 years ago, I took somebody through the program who was, it was a much smaller version of the program that I do now, but they were adamant they knew everything about LinkedIn. But they just wanted a bit of an advanced training course. So I didn't go through basics like settings. My mistake, because I should have assumed, though people say they're advanced, they're not. And closer to the end of the program, he said he wasn't still not getting any engagement. And I had a look at his profile. I said, yeah, but nobody can see anything. And that's when he realized that as a pro, he had never allowed his profile to be accessible publicly so that people who want to connect with him can actually see what he's posting. So he was the only person in the world seeing his posts up until that moment. So, yeah, I overestimated his advanced knowledge. So based on that, I'm going to go through a few things with you today. And let me just go. There we go.
Before you do go through that, Mark,
yeah.
What week is this? Week 1 or week 2?
This is week 1.
Okay.
Today is the penultimate, and this is why I'm going through. the kind of overview and the basics to kind of set the trend for the next 12 weeks. Some of you I know I'm working one-on-one with, and some of you are only doing the 12-week program. I've got a few people that are doing the one-on-one year program, but they're also jumping on. In January, we've got a mastermind group. So for those of you who are only doing the 12-week group, this is something that you can get involved in January, where we've got a few mentors who are people that specialize in both luxury property, entry and exit of businesses, acquisition, growth, etc. Companies in digital agency spaces. So these are business owners and investors that have already had multitude of businesses that they've gone on to sell and restart those business processes. And they are going to be able to share with us some of their knowledge, give you an opportunity to ask them questions, but I'll also be able to jump in on mastermind sessions where you can come and actually pose a challenge within your business, and then your peers will be able to ask you clarifying questions and then give you some response on how they went about tackling that specific challenge as well. So we'll have probably about 20 to 40 people on that in January. So there'll be business owners from all walks of life on that. So keep an eye on that. But I'm going to go into present screen so we can get started for today. So the aim of these sessions is to start in future, just so that you know, 6 o'clock promptly to respect everybody's time, and then to finish at 7 o'clock promptly so that people can get onto other calls and other things that they are doing. So this is the TLEP, so that you know what that stands for. It's the LinkedIn expert posts or LinkedIn expert people. So those are the people that are doing the courses and going through the program, and you'll see the hashtag TLEP being used as well on LinkedIn, which I'll explain later. So here are some of the kind of real fundamentals that I need you to have a look at to start with. One is be open-minded. And the reason I say that is LinkedIn is a living machine. Its algorithm changes literally every 3 to 6 months. There's a new update. So something that I might have gone through with you a year or 2 years ago has evolved, and there are so many new exciting things that are out there, but you don't have to go and be like a child with a new toy and try and jump on all of them. We want you to master the right ones for you and your business, if that makes sense. Can everybody see my screen, by the way? Can we all see the bullet points? Okay, good stuff. Thanks for the big smile there, Joel, with the double thumbs up. The other thing that I'm going to suggest, if you haven't already in the chat, drop your LinkedIn, both company pages as well as personal profiles, the link to those. And I know some of you have already done that. Go and do that, and make sure that you go and follow and connect with each other, follow each other's company pages, connect with each other. Over the next 12 weeks, I'm going to ask each one of you to step outside of your comfort zone and to support each other. Now, there's going to be, the first thing that will come to mind for most people is, well, should I be supporting or commenting on people's posts that are not in my industry? And the answer to that is initially, yes, because what we're going to do is we're going to start the initial growth and organic growth within LinkedIn to help the algorithm get kickstarted by having people comment on your posts that will be outside of your existing bubble. So it's going to be there to disrupt the current AI, because whatever you've been doing on LinkedIn up until this date, if you could think about the fact that artificial intelligence is looking at what you've done to date, and therefore it is spewing out in your feed basically as a result of what you've done up until now. So what we want to do now is we want to disrupt that AI. We want to start putting some new people into the fold so that you get more second and third degree contacts seeing your content. And by doing that, each one of you commenting on that, you also leverage each other's contacts, because I can guarantee you, and let me do this by a show of hands. Have you ever met up with somebody, months or years down the line, and you haven't seen them in ages, and you speak to them and they tell you, oh, we've just started this project, but it's something that you or your company could have done for them. Have you ever had that? Yeah. Okay. And this happens quite often. It even happens within families, and I've seen this happen. I recently had a client that I was working with, and his own brother, he just, his brother's position was quite technical, didn't quite get it. So he knew that he was an analyst of some sort and kind of left it at that, but didn't realize that the services his company were needing, his company could have solved that problem for them. But he didn't know what his brother did. When they met up for family outings or family functions, they chat around the barbecue, chat about family, never really chatted about business. And then he saw his brother do a post about this new company they've taken on. And he was quite peeved because, he hadn't used his own brother, but they hadn't even spoken about what each other does. So this is the important thing about making sure that when you're connected to somebody, by adding value on LinkedIn, you're going to have an opportunity to inform and educate your existing contacts as well as new contacts as to what it is that you do. And a lot of the cases, I'm going to show you a content format in a few minutes, is all about dumbing things down, because unfortunately, as an expert, have you ever met up with somebody and they're in your same industry, but they're speaking high technical knowledge in the industry? And then you get them to speak to somebody who's never been in the industry and it just goes straight over their head.
Yeah.
One of the big challenges that happens so often is, CEOs, as an example, or investors will employ people that are experts in their field to run departments, but they don't have a clue how to code or how to do various different parts of that role. But if they knew that what that person did in layman's terms, then they may actually realize that they need that person's services. So as an example, if I look at, there's a company that I've been dealing with that are in analytics, but what they do is they bring data to life by putting it into picture format so that you can understand it much easier. Now, I had a client that I was dealing with who was a financial director for an organization, and he was trying to speak to his sales department about the numbers and trying to understand the budget and all, and it just wasn't making sense. And when he came across this person's post and saw that this person was able to put numbers, take that data and put a visual impact that just made it so simple for anybody to be able to understand, he was able to communicate with his sales team in a language that they got rather than this number analyst speak. And if it wasn't for that person using very basic English to explain how they turn data into visuals, that person wouldn't have had a clue. If they did a text post and said, we use data and we convert that into highly effective visuals and just started going into a lot of data speak, then the person who really needed to understand that wouldn't have been able to introduce them to the person that could use their service. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So the key thing there is you've got to appeal, and this is one of the things that a lot of people forget, is you want to appeal to your to the other experts in the industry, because you do want people to kind of what you're saying and saying your product is needed and the service is a good service and this is why. But at the same time, you want people to be able to understand what that does in English as well. So that's the important bit, is being able to put it into layman's term, so almost like an idiot's guide, so that the person at the top who oversees everybody doesn't go into the detail, understands what the value is of working with somebody like yourself. Does that make sense? Still okay. So the next thing is so supporting each other. This is going to help each one of you. And one of the things that I want you to ask, and Brian, I know we've covered this a couple of years ago, but one of the important things is if you see somebody post something, even if it's not within this group and it makes no sense to you, do that person a favor by asking the question of, hey, that sounds amazing. What the hell does that mean in English? Yeah, because if you don't get that, or you do get that, but you know that the person who potentially will use your service is not going to get that, ask that question, because it actually gives the person who's posting an opportunity to go, actually, hey, Nick, great question. Let me explain. And therefore it gives you that opportunity to show that you are the expert, and you can then go into further information with that. Okay, so this is the importance for the next 12 weeks for each of you to support each other, because if you can't get everybody in the room to understand what you're talking about, then you're going to struggle to be able to talk to potential decision makers that are out there that aren't needing to know the detail. They just need to know what's the solution, and then they'll introduce you to the person who will understand the tech, if that makes sense. Yeah. So the next step is every single Wednesday, as I mentioned, 6 till 7 BST. We'll be live. Mondays from 6:30 to 7, although there's no space in between that, I'll fix that later. 6:30 to 7. And then on Thursdays from 3 to 3:30 p.m., also British Standard Time, you have access to live Q&A sessions. You don't have to attend all of them, but I'd suggest jump in as often as you can, because somebody may ask a question that you haven't thought about and that can benefit you, and vice versa. And it's an opportunity for you to come and ask. It doesn't have to be specifically course related or this week's topic. You may be sitting there stuck with, hey, Mac, I tried to do a post, but this happened. Come on and ask. There is no such thing as a stupid question. And it's an opportunity for you to literally just use that as your support session. So you've got 2 of those every single week for the 12-week program. Okay. The next thing is, on a weekly basis, is take at least one action, because this is the biggest challenge that most people have. Is they go on a course, they take lots of notes, and then they walk away wondering, okay, where am I going to start? So the key thing for you is each week, take something that's important to you away and action that before the next week. If you get stuck, use the Q&A sessions to be able to jump in into that. The next thing I want you to do, this is one really important list that I need you to go and make. And you can do this with pen and paper, and you can go and write down every single client, or if you've got a database, then go and download that. Every single client that you've got, every colleague that you've ever worked in, every colleague that works within your organization, every staff member that you've ever had work for you, or vice versa, if you're the boss or the boss that you've worked for, and start making a list of every single one of those people, and make sure that every single week you just tick off at least 5 of those people and make sure you are connected to them on LinkedIn. To give you an example, one of my clients, in fact 2 clients I got on board this week, are both people. One that I worked with in 2005, and another one that I worked with in 2011. And both of them reached out to me this week and said, hey, Mac, thank you for the messages you sent us on LinkedIn, just touching base. Can you help us with LinkedIn? And as of this afternoon, I now have 2 new paying clients who, I wasn't doing LinkedIn 15 years ago. I was using it for myself, but I wasn't using it as a coach or trainer. So the importance of you connecting with all of these people is you just never know where they're at. And if you've worked with them before, you've already got a relationship. So Ryan, for yourself as an example, I know you still work within the catering space as well, and you're going to be meeting lots of people when you go out. Every time you meet with people, just ask them their details. Say to them, pull out your your LinkedIn app on your mobile and say, hey, let's connect on LinkedIn. I'd love to follow your journey. Just get connected to every person you come around. I used to call it the 3-foot rule. In networking, anybody who comes in within 3 feet of you, tell them what you do, ask them a question, start talking, say hi. And if you can do the same, one of the biggest challenges people have is out of sight, out of mind. Now, every single one, who wants new business out of this, by the way?
That's the only reason why I'm here, Mac. I like you,
okay.
Right? But your friendship ain't worth that much if you're not making any money.
Okay, so absolutely. So here's the number one question I'll ask every single person is, everybody is looking for new business. The problem is they get so focused on new business that they forget about their existing clients, people that are willing to refer because of the experience they've already had with you. And how much easier is it to work with somebody that's been referred to you than a cold contact?
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost 90% of the time when I speak to somebody who's been referred, we do business. But when it's a cold contact, there's no credibility, there's no history, there's no rapport. And then you go into oversell because you're trying to, build something that's not there. You're trying to go from A to Z too quickly as opposed to building that relationship. So the most important thing you can do right now is get connected to people you already know. Get connected to all those people that are already clients, and then start following them on LinkedIn. Go and check if they've done a post recently, and just drop a 7 to 10 word comment, but make sure it's of value, because LinkedIn, if you just hit the like button, it really doesn't tell LinkedIn anything. But if you start exchanging meaningful communication, it does. So as an example, Brian, if you go and look at the last 20 or 30 clients you've signed up with life insurance on LinkedIn, I would start with a soft touch and going, hey, I've been off LinkedIn for a while. I'm just updating, and I want to make sure that I'm connected to all my VIP clients because I want to support them on LinkedIn as well. And that's all you do. You don't go into sales. And guess what? This one client of mine that came to me this week, all I did was I messaged him last week to ask him how his new position was going. I didn't try and sell to him. He came to me and said, hey, Mac, I've just been made head of sales. I need to get on top of this LinkedIn thing for both me and the company. Now, I've known him for 15 years. But today, because of that connection, I haven't spoken to him in over 10 years, though. And only because I reached out just to find out how he's doing. And this is one of the things you want to do with every single one of your clients, is just say, hey, we're updating our LinkedIn. We want to make sure that we are supporting you on LinkedIn. Can we please connect? Can you send us your company page so we can make sure that we follow that? And guess what? If you're going on their company page, they have other suppliers that are connected to them. They've got competitors that will be following their pages to see what's going on. And when you go and support on a regular basis, guess what? They're going to see that, hey, Brian Chipchase is already their life insurance guy, or Nick is already their solution, scanware technology is already their solution. So why do we need to look somewhere else when we know we can go with somebody that's already trusted within our organization, within our network? And that's what you want to do, is you want to remove risk as quickly as you can. And then the next thing is you need to commit to your own success. I can teach you all of this. I can show you exactly what to do. But if you don't take action, at the end of the day, very little is going to happen. Is that fair?
Yeah, very.
Okay, good stuff. So let's crack on. I'm going to go through a couple of principles with you very quickly, and then I'm going to go into some settings and some really important things that you need to make sure that you are being seen by those people you need to see. So the first one is the 1990 concept. Now, Brian heard about that a couple of years ago. It's actually now changed to between 1% and 2% of people are actually adding content to social media profiles, platforms. So that's, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all of them. So only 1 to 2 people are actually putting content out there. Now, the reality is less than 0.5% are actually putting out quality content. So just by taking some time to think about the content you put out, and not being, a lot of people just get a marketing company to do sales pitches. So it's, hey, here's our product, buy this, or inquire here, here's a form, fill in, or here's an event, and they just keep selling. This is about adding quality and value. So we're going to go through that with a 411 principle next. And I'll explain that to you in a second. So the key thing there with the 1990 side of things is just remember that if you're going to put content out there and you just spend a little bit of time, and I'm going to show you today how you can format your content cycles just to make it so that it's a no-brainer. You can just crank this stuff out all day long without having to really struggle. Has anybody ever struggled thinking, what am I going to post today?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a common thing by all companies, all individuals. Call it writer's block, call it creative block, whatever it is. I'm going to show you a cycle that is, it will just help you to keep churning content out without too much of a struggle. So the other side of the 1990 is that between 8 and 9% of people are engaging. Now, here's the thing. So I'm going to challenge Brian on this one a little bit. So Brian, if you have 100 contacts and you are, as an example, only 9 of them engage with you. Okay, so you're at a networking event, you've got 100 people there. There's the one person who's spoken and they've done a presentation. You've got 9 people who actually take action. So those are the people that are, they'll book a meeting, or they'll comment, or they'll come up and introduce themselves. And so those are the people who comment, like, and share the content on LinkedIn. And then you got the other 90% that are just standing in the room. They don't really, they just watching. They don't necessarily go up and introduce themselves. Maybe they're shy, maybe they a bit more reserved, or maybe they're just not sure if you're the right person for them yet. And they just kind of, gauging how trustworthy you are, maybe on the first point of call. Now, if you've got 9 contacts that are out of that 100 that are standing there, and you've got those 9 people are not actively networking, they're not actively going out, they only go to one network event maybe every month, and that's pretty much it. What are the chances you think that those 9 people are going to be able to spread the word about your message and engage with that over the next month? Will they do it times or just once?
Well, it's pretty limited. If they go to one a month, then you've got one crack of a whip of exposure once a month. So limited exposure. Exactly.
Now, if those 8 or 9 people in the room, they, the other 90% don't show up again, but those 8 or 9 people don't go to another networking event that month, or don't go and comment and engage on your any of your other posts, then effectively it's just a one-hit kind of wonder, one opportunity. But if you can change the people that are engaging with you to superpowers, people that are active on LinkedIn, people that are on the same mission as you are, so they also want to get their content engaged with, they also want to be able to get exposure. Now, if you've got 8 or 9 people in the room who go to 2 or 3 networking events every day, and they are going to be able to expose your message to each one of those events over the next month, now you've got multiple opportunities. So all of a sudden it spreads like wildfire. So one message goes out to 8 or 9 people that are active, and those 8 or 9 people go out to their audiences because their audiences know they're active, which means it spreads like wildfire. But if you go out to people that don't really do anything with that, then the challenge is you can have people that engage every week, but you actually get no return on investment and no results, because they're just the wrong individuals. So the key thing for you right now is, as I mentioned earlier, about connecting with all your clients, your connections, your staff, all of those people, is as you start going and connecting with them and checking out their profiles, you want to see how active are they? How much engagement do they get on their posts? Now, if I go onto Nick's post and I see Nick posts 3 times a week, and Nick gets 20 comments plus every single time, and then I go on to, say, Brian's, and I see Brian posts once a week and he gets 5 comments, where am I going to be spending my time? So Nick's got all over it. So the key thing is you want to find those key people that you can engage with that are also going to give you the opportunity of exposure. Now, if all of us go and connect and comment only on people that, where it always says be the first to comment, and we're always that only person, how likely is it that anybody else is going to see our comments and engagement? Minimal. Okay, does this make sense? This is really, if the penny drops on this one, then you've got ample opportunity, because you need to mix these. Yes, you'll have some clients that are crap on LinkedIn, but you still need to be able to reach out to them. But the majority of the people you engage with is for awareness and brand and reach. So you want to make sure the people that you engage with on a regular basis and show up with are those people who can give you that almost like a trampoline burst into another jump, if that makes sense, as opposed to just a touch point. You really want it to ramp up. And this is where it's really important to be able to, think about who those people are that are going to be engaging with your posts. And remember, it's reciprocal. People will only engage with those people who engage with them as well. So once you start building up your tribe, this is going to take 3 or 4 weeks for you. As long as you're posting at least 3 or 4 times a week, this will give you that momentum after 3 or 4 weeks. Okay. Because it's not something that you just go, hey, okay, I've posted, everybody, come on, where are you? It just doesn't happen like that. So it takes consistency. The 411 rule, which is really important, is how you post. Because if you sound like the person who's talking, have you ever been to an event where there's one person who just loves the sound of their own voice? Yeah, anybody? Yeah,
We all have.
okay. And what do you think of that person normally?
Very vain.
Yeah, it's not for mixed company. But again, we're all fellas.
Okay, so at the end of the day, that person's going to either repel you, or they've got to be blooming confident and know what they're talking about in the room. But more often than not, you're going to have those people who really, it just drones on. So you want to kind of move on. So with those, that's what one of the things you don't want to become is you always got to say, am I the only one talking here, or am I getting social proof and third-party credibility on what I'm saying? Because if I'm the expert and I always say that I'm right and this is the way to do it, but nobody else can corroborate that, then after a while I just sound like a stuck record and a pain in the ass. Yeah. So you've got to make sure that you've got social proof, 1, from other leaders within your industry, 2, from other clients that have already used your services, and 3, your own knowledge as well, own expertise, but yours is to come last. So as an example, the 411, you basically, the 411, and there's a guy called Joe Polizzi who has written Content Inc., which I 100% recommend everyone go and get the book if you can. Incredible ideas and tips in there. Joe, I follow him on LinkedIn as well. Incredible. But he talks about effectively putting out content that come from other experts. So he says for every one self-serving post that you do, you should repost 1 relevant and most importantly, share 4 pieces of relevant content written by others. Now, you can, as an example, say there is a news report about the new budget that's come out, and this is how it's impacting people. You may want to quote that and give your own little spin on it. So you give your own opinion on something that's newsworthy and relevant right now. Does that make sense? Okay. So that means you have an opinion on what's going on in the world that is impacting your industry. So you can then, as an example, Brian, with the life insurance organizations, you get different bits of information from different organizations every other week.
Yeah.
Turn around and go, hey, well, Aviva has just announced these are the figures for 2021, post-COVID, and you can go into that conversation and then say, well, how does this impact you, the end user? And you can go into that, because now you've got that third-party credibility, a big organization talking about that impacts you and your clients. Or Nick, with your solutions with the scanning software, as an example, is what if the accuracy of that isn't correct, or how much time it takes to be able to do all that scanning if you weren't doing it with the technology that you use, as an example. So you want to maybe put a news headline that says, pharmaceutical organization has to throw away X number of samples because the dates weren't printed properly, or it wasn't scanned correctly, and therefore, and the millions that it costs. Little things like that is just talking about what's happening in the industry. That gives you the authority as a credible person who can talk about industry events and what's happening and what's pushing up prices in your industry and how you solve those problems. And then by doing that, you then build up the permission to say, hey, FYI, last week I did a poll about it could be life insurance and how many people actually have life insurance, and that 97%, or you said you don't have life insurance, and then you can do a post about, hey, well, if you'd like to find out why you should, and these are the big impacts for those 97% who don't have life insurance, this is what it could happen, then you can do a post about that specifically. But I'm going to show you a cycle in a few minutes of how you can repurpose that same content. So you can have one subject and you can re-roll it over 5 or 6 weeks into different forms of content. Okay. Any questions so far? We all still with me?
Yeah, I like this.
Good. Okay. So as I said, I was going to go through the cycle with you, and this is my content cycle. This is to really dumb it down and make it as simple as possible. So if you look on, and I'm pointing at my screen here, but you can't see it. I'm going to go over here. So if you can see the blue dot there by the Monday. So if you break each day of the week, now you can go up to Sunday if you want to post 7 days a week, but I'm just using Monday to Friday as a quick example. Now, if you use Monday to Friday and each day of the week, you have a different topic that you're addressing. So on Monday could be, top tips for the pharmaceutical industry, or it could be top, advancements within the pharmaceutical industry when it comes to scanning software, or it can be top changes impacting life insurance. So as an example, Brian, right now, coming out of the whole COVID thing, I bet there are tons of people wondering, well, what about like COVID as a pre-existing condition? Like how does that impact me? Like, now that we're coming out, people have a bit more money, some sectors, other sectors don't. Like, you can start answering those questions. So you can talk about Top Tips Tuesday as an example. And then on a Wednesday, you have something more personal. This is something about you, because the one thing people forget is on LinkedIn, people connect with human beings. Okay. So as an example, Ryan, you brand new to LinkedIn. You still right in the beginning of your journey, but on a Wednesday, you could go asking LinkedIn a question, and you can just have a poll on a Tuesday or sorry, on a Wednesday that you then repurpose. And I'm going to explain that in a second. But effectively, you can go on a Wednesday and you can go and ask LinkedIn and your connections a question about property. What type of property would you go into? What type of investments? And you can just ask questions just to learn. Now, each one of us can do the same thing. So as an example, Nick, within your organization or your arena, you can ask, what are the top solutions that you are seeing within scanning software? Because then you can keep your R&D team up to scratch with the latest developments of what the competition are doing. But then at the same time, as somebody who's doing the marketing, one of the key things is always knowing your competitor, and not going and going against your competitors, because I don't condone saying, oh, well, this one can't do this one can't do that. It's more about knowing what you can do that they can't. So it's going out with, okay, competitor analysis recently, some new technology coming out. One of the exciting things that we found a lot of companies can't do is X, Y, Z. This is how we solve that problem. So it's differentiating yourself in a positive way, as opposed to you going out and trying to slander like they do in the US with a lot of companies and, try and knock each other down. And then on a Thursday, you may have something totally different. And on a Friday, you might have something lighthearted. You could have, this is what happened in the office today, because you want people to start building relationships with you as an individual, with the people that are in the company. So you may want to say, hey, today we had a team meeting and, we had a staff member who's now been here 3 years, and it's so exciting to have them as part of the team, and just giving them a shout out. So it shows that your company is also worthwhile to work at, because people want to work and have suppliers that look after their employees and their team as well. Does that make sense? You had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I've noticed obviously you've cycled through them, so each week it's slightly different in terms of your approach. What's wrong with doing it Monday to Friday and doing the same thing week in, week out? Is it a concern around complacency, or is this just...
Okay, I'm going to go into that in a second. That's a good
okay, no worries. Cool.
Really good question. So here's where the magic happens, because if I came to you and asked you for, what do we have? 5 times 5. What's that? 25 pieces of content right now.
Yeah.
What would it take you to come up with 25 pieces of content?
Well, actually not too long, because that's what we've been doing. We've been building a library. We've got around 50, between 50 and 60 posts that are ready and we can go back to. So
Okay.
Because our products don't change too often, we might do software updates, but the camera systems that we use are much the same.
Yeah.
So to post a piece of information about one of our systems is something that we would want to do on a regular basis. So we've kind of built up this library of repeatable posts.
So here's the thing: is a lot of people. That's what about 90% of 9% of what people do in marketing. They create content about their products and their services.
Yeah.
And then they just spew them out. I did this for 2 years and I was paying the people who were doing marketing for AA, for what do you call it, ASDA, and a few other major organizations. I was paying tens of thousands of pounds for this marketing. And the ROI was ridiculous. Like there wasn't any. I was paying out because the pay-per-click and all the cost and all these ads and then the production of all that. And I was just watching money being burnt.
Yeah.
But they were creating amazing, I thought this stuff was really well polished and looked great. But at the end of the day, nobody cared because they wanted to know what is the problem that it solves. They don't want to see only the machine. So you've got to be able to take those things and you've got to be able to repurpose them in a way that can connect with people on different, personalities. Some people are visual, some people are audio, some people are very analytical, so they want to see data. Some people are, like me, I'm very visual. So videos, carousels, images, those appeal to me. But a lot of people that are more analytical will look at a text post. They'll want to look at some data as an example. So what we do over here is we give you an opportunity to take 5 pieces of content and repurpose each one 5 times. Now, could each one of you come up with 5 pieces of content instead of 25 within about 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah? 5 pieces of content doable? Not hard. 25 different stories. So here's the way it works. This is where the magic happens. So as an example, on Monday, and I'm going to pick on you, Brian, I'm going to go and do a poll, and I'm going to run this poll for 7 days. Okay. So I'm going to go on LinkedIn and I'll show you how to do that in a second. I'm going to go and run a poll for 7 days, and I'm going to say, LinkedIn community, as a life insurance salesman, I want to know how many people actually have life insurance. Or you can even make it simple. You can just go, do you have life insurance? Nothing more. It's such a simple question. Now, Nick, for yours, you can have, do you have, do you do this manually, or do you do got a machine, or
human
you can
inspection?
So you can add those things. Raymond, you could ask simply, do you have a brand strategy? Yes or no? As an example. Ryan, you can ask, do you invest in property? Yes or no? We're talking such basic, simple questions. Do you get that? Okay. Yep. So Eugene, you can do the same thing with the call center. Have you ever worked in a call center? Yes or no? Just simple. Joel, you can ask questions about, almost said biodiversity, neurodiversity. But you can ask, do you know somebody that is classed as neurodiverse? Or, do you, in fact, a good poll for you right now would be, how many international business owners do you know that are neurodiverse? Because those are people you want to interview. Yeah. So gives you an opportunity to go back to those people and go, hey, guess what? Because when people vote in a poll, first it's private, only you as the author can see it, but it creates an opportunity for you to have whoever answers the question in the positive that you are looking for as a follow-up opportunity. Does that make sense? Okay. But here's where the magic goes. So Brian, this week I do a poll. Do you have life insurance? Yes or no? Okay.
Okay.
That's it. Nothing else. Very simple. 11 for the week. Now, next Monday, I do a screenshot of that same poll and I do a carousel. Now, a carousel is basically just a PDF or the easiest way to do it is do it in PowerPoint with 3 or 4 or 5 slides. And on the first slide, I go and put the results of my post. And you can go, wow, 79% of people don't have life insurance. And then your second slide, what does that mean? What are the impacts? And then you can just put 3 or 4 or 5 questions. How will this impact your children? How will this impact your parents? How will this impact your business? Now, most people overthink it. They want to put too much information into their posts. How simple we are at this stage. We're not even going into a lot of detail here. So you share the results of the poll, and then from your own experience within the industry, you can then say, you can then look at that data and go, well, this is what it means to me and how it impacts our clients. So what do those percentages actually mean? And if it's shocking and you come back and you find actually it's better than what you thought or worse off than you thought, tell people that. So the next week you now do this carousel just to give the results and ask a few more questions. Now it's still the same content as the previous week. Then the following week you do a 30 to 60 second video on that. And you go, hey, guys, 3 weeks ago, I did a poll asking how many people had life insurance. And as the world's best life insurance person, if you want to crank it up a bit there, Brian, as somebody who's passionate about life insurance, I'm absolutely blown away by how many people could potentially be impacted if they don't know what they need to know right now. And tell them why you are passionate about it, just in 30 to 60 seconds. So that's, again, 3 weeks in a row, same subject. The 4th week, you go and do a text post. You give some advice. And you say, hey, week 1, we did this. I then did a carousel, asked some more questions. And then I did and you shout out to those people who engaged with your post over the last 2 or 3 weeks. This is where magic happens. Because Nick, if you comment on my post and you say, well, actually, you question my poll altogether, and you go, well, actually, Mac, you need to consider this, this, and this. I then put that into my carousel for the next week and go, hey, these are the results of the poll, but actually, Nick asked a great question, so shout out to him, and I tag you in the post. That goes out. Guess what? Will Nick come back and engage with my next post? Yeah. High likelihood, because now I've actually listened to him and I've responded to him, and I give other people an opportunity to comment on that, which means other people like Nick are going to engage with my post. So I start drawing my audience in by actually just using one topic that I repurpose into different formats each week. And then in the last week, I can do an image and a text. So I might have gone through my poll, and then Brian, in week 5, I post a picture and I say, hey, this is Jim that voted he doesn't have life insurance 5 weeks ago. And we've subsequently met up, had a conversation, and he's taken action. Congratulations, Jim. Who else is taking action? Showing that process of how you become, how you connect with your clients, how your team connect with the people that they've seen on LinkedIn. And if they can see that transition of, hold on, they've communicated with you on LinkedIn. They've actually now gone through to a stage where they're actually communicating with, and you are giving them a shout out on LinkedIn as well. So Ryan, as an example, you might do a poll about property, reach out to a few of those people. And then in 5 weeks time, you might jump on a Zoom and you can just do a Zoom screenshot of the 2 of you on there and saying, hey, thank you so much for, John, who responded to my poll and actually offered me 30 minutes of his time just to talk about property. Now what you do, showing people that there's acknowledgement and you're giving them an opportunity to get airtime as well. So it's not just about you and your business. Does that make sense?
100%. Yep.
Like that.
Okay. So my task for you over this next week is make a list, literally And if you get an opportunity to sit with any of your colleagues or other people that you work with, just get a notepad and start writing down every single person you come into contact with over the next 7 days.
Wow.
Client you've ever met, even if it's 10 years ago. Every person you've ever worked with, even if it's 10 years ago. Okay, and then slowly, we want to make sure that at some stage, you get the majority of those people connected on LinkedIn. Because you will be shocked how many people are in the position right now to either collaborate with you, to connect with you and actually do business, or potentially be a referral for somebody else you know. Has anybody ever given one of their own clients a referral? Right?
How do you mean?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I have. Clients are, yeah.
So Nick, as an example, with your scanning technology, have you ever had a client that maybe their process isn't quite right and they need a different packaging solution, and you've got another client who works with that and you to refer that on?
Oh, of course. Yes, absolutely. I have an engineering partner company in the UK. They're a tool maker, and I refer them to my clients all the time. So
have a think about, that tool maker is a potential referral client for you and vice versa.
Yes, yes.
Have a think about, are you connected to them on LinkedIn?
Yes.
You are. When last have you commented on one of their posts?
I haven't seen any of their posts for I don't know how long. They're not very good.
But that's also an opportunity, because you can just message them on LinkedIn saying, hey, haven't seen you guys on LinkedIn. Would love to give you a shout out, but probably not worth it if you're not active.
Yeah.
Very quickly, they might just come and comment on your post. So there's many ways to skin a cat, but we're going to go through that over the next 12 weeks. But the main objective over the next week, make your list. I found that existing list is so full of fruit and a low-hanging fruit that you don't realize. So before you start going to look for new people that are hard to build relationships with, make sure you've got those people that are already able to give you social proof and credibility on board first. Does that make sense to everybody?
Okay.
It's just a huge task.
it seems like it, but you don't have to do everybody by next week. Just make a list of as many that come to mind. So sitting there and you're in the middle of a call and somebody puts you on hold, write down some names.
Yeah.
What I tend to use my iPhone, and I just use notes.
Okay.
Voice dictation. So I'm driving, I can't go on there. I'll just go, hey Siri, add notes, and I just read. And it's whatever works for you, the simplest solution. You just want to start getting those names racked up.
Yeah.
Okay. So by next week, let's see who has the longest list of names available. And you can't make it up. You can't download the yellow pages.
No.
Okay. And even if it's only 5 people, that's a start. Don't worry about it being too short either. Okay.
Okay.
Is that doable?
But we've got weeks to actually contact these people. So if we're trying to do too many at one time, you get overwhelmed. You can't.
We're not asking you to contact all of them. That's it. We're just asking you to make the list.
Just get a list of people. Just do.
That's it.
Yeah.
You've got the next 12 weeks to contact them. You've got to contact them.
I mean, literally, which is my entire. My client bank. All the ones who bought from me, all the ones who bought from me, the ones who didn't buy from me, right? And quite frankly, fucking hell. I mean, I must have thrown away, when I went through that weird period last year, thrown away so many business cards. I'm thinking, shit, I haven't called this bloke. I could have done. It's now COVID. I'll fuck it. I'll throw it away, and I'll throw away his contact card, his card or her card. Yeah. And that's kind of like specks of gold dust that I'm just hoofing out.
It is, but the thing is, we see that as gold dust that ends up just collecting dust, and actually nothing becomes of it, because the further and the longer you leave it, the harder it is to start anything off the back of it.
Yeah.
So the key thing right now is just make a list. And we're not talking about people that you've met randomly and you can't remember their name. You're making solid connections here. We're talking about people that you've worked with, clients that you've had, people that you've worked with, collaborating. Maybe you've done an expo together with somebody. All those key people, like Nick was talking about, that engineering firm, that could be a company that they refer. any network organization, networking, make a list of everybody that's in the room that show up every week. Okay.
I like that.
If you support them, they'll support you. And we're going to show you easy, simple steps. This posting process of just doing one topic a day and then rotating it 5 days into 5 different pieces of different types of content. Is that doable?
Yeah.
Well, let's do it. End of the day, we're here to do something. Let's not pussyfoot around. Let's just, end of the day, take action and get it done.
For sure.
Yes.
So I'm not going to ask for too much, because I know when I ask too much, nothing gets done. So the only thing is make a list for next week. Then next week, we're going to start supporting each other. So have a post ready to share next Wednesday evening. And then at the end of the hour, we'll all post our posts and all support each other's posts between 7 and 7:10 p.m. Okay?
Okay.
Does that work?
Yep.
Yeah.
So have your first post ready for next Monday. Sorry.
Will that you mean our first post? You mean our first poll post that's going to start the 5-week cycle?
No, any other post. It doesn't have
another post. Okay.
Any post you want to have going next Wednesday.
Okay.
Poll, you can do, I would suggest either do it first thing in the morning, depending on where your clientele are based. So between 8 and or 7:30 and 9:30, or in the evening between 5 and 7:30. But think about your target audience. When will they not be in the middle of their workday? The beginning of their day, their lunch hour, or the evening. Okay. But next Wednesday, we're all going to post at the same time. So between 7 o'clock, we'll all take our post live. Try and write your posts in a Word document. I'd recommend just to start with, because you'll write it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn will refresh and you'll lose your post. I've seen that happen to me. So yeah, just have your post ready to go. I'll do some quick reviews and I'll send you the check sheets so you can see what format you should have. But we're all going to do at least one poll post whenever you're ready between now and next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent stuff. Gentlemen, have an amazing week. Next week, we have another 5 or 6 people. I just had one of them message me now on WhatsApp. So, sorry, was that tonight? Anyways, is what it is. So yeah, we'll see you next Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Monday, if you can jump on the Q&A between 6:30 and 7.
Wonderful. Matt, thank you, mate. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, everybody.